Hi, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to my 1967 MGB GT. Regulars to the channel will know that this is my car that I've had for a while, since 2013 in fact. And on this rather damp and dreary day, I'm taking the car out for a bit of a drive to warm it up as part of another video I've made about a bit of a seafoam experiment that I was doing. And as I was driving, I was kind of thinking, I've not really gone into too much around what makes the MGB so appealing to me and why I bought it. So I'm going to find somewhere to pull over and go through a few reasons why I bought this car and why I think it's potentially a good buy for yourself. So I'll join you in a few moments when I've pulled over. Okay, so here we are then, parked down a country lane, which is arguably the MGB's habitat. And the first thing to really say about an MGB is its popularity. So they did make a lot of them. They made sort of 500,000 Roadsters and GTs during the years of production. And for serious collectors, this is a bit of a turn off because it means that you haven't really got an exclusive car, and when you go to car shows there's going to be several of these quite often parked up. But for me that's a huge advantage for anybody who wants to get into classic cars, because it means that prices are relatively low, and because the production sort of spanned 18 years or so and went through a few sort of cosmetic changes, there's often an MGB for every budget. So you've got your more expensive early pull handle Roadsters, which are kind of the collector sort of ones really, but you can probably get a later rubber bumper B running and driving as a rolling restoration for maybe a couple of £1,000. I mean, I'm not really too sure of the current market value of those cars, but certainly you can get yourself an interesting car for not very much outlay. And then the advantage, of course, is the popularity means that you end up with a car that is very serviceable. So you can get spare parts. There are specialists who will do engine rebuilds and the like, gearbox rebuilds, diff rebuilds. So you're never really going to be without parts for the car or trying to search high and low for, you know, unobtainable spare parts. There are one or two things which are no longer sold, but often there's a decent replacement or an alternative. And also the car has a fairly decent scene in terms of improving and modifications. So if you wanted to do like a hot rod version of an MGB, then you can probably drop a V8 in it. I mean, there was a factory V8, but a lot of people do a conversion on the Roadsters and that kind of thing. So there's enough sort of support out there to keep you going. Okay, so the next thing that makes me think the MGB is a great buy is looking under the bonnet and the mechanicals of the car. So what you're going to find under here is not a fast engine or powerful engine or anything that is particularly high tech, which a lot of people kind of see as a disadvantage as well, I guess. As you know, Bs are notoriously known for being slow and that kind of thing, but you know, they race fairly successfully in periods, so I think that's a little bit unfounded. But what attracts me to this particular car and the mechanical side of things is just the amount of space to work on it. So, I mean, for the home mechanic, if you want to learn a bit about how an engine works or how to service your car and that kind of stuff, then the MGB is extremely easy to work on, and everything's sort of like within hand's reach of being able to do it yourself, and you learn a thing or two along the way. And the same goes for sort of the brakes and the suspension and that kind of stuff. I mean, I've got some extra bits on mine, so obviously new wheels, but you can see sort of drilled and grooved discs behind there, and also on the back I've got some telescopic dampers, which you might not be able to see actually, but you know, all stuff which is relatively easy to do to a car. It means you can tinker with it, and that then becomes your hobby if you're into that. And I think that's kind of what owning this car is all about. It becomes a hobby, and it becomes part of your sort of enjoyment of the car, I suppose. So that's for me like another big reason why I would choose this car. Okay, so we kind of come on to the third and perhaps final reason why I love the MGB so much, and it has to be its charm. So in terms of the way it looks, I think it's a really good looking car. I don't think you're going to get similar sort of classic looks for the money, certainly. And you know, I've joked in other videos about making comparisons as a sort of poor man's E-Type or Aston Martin, and that is kind of, you know, pushing my luck a bit, kind of comparing them to those cars. And there are sort of quirky outside details on this car which you wouldn't see dead in a, you know, more expensive model like that. But you know, you're getting classic 60s looks for a fraction of the price of those types of true sort of dream cars. And it's not just the outside which I think is charming. I think it extends into the cabin as well, with this classic crackle black finished dashboard. I mean, I fitted a wooden steering wheel, but the original one was sort of very classic Bakelite one there, and obviously leather interior, which some of them came with, although this is again aftermarket. And it just, going from like a modern daily to this, it feels very different and crucially special, and it feels like an occasion when you take this car out. I mean, there's a bit of, you know, preparation and worry, I guess, as it doesn't quite fire into life on the first try, maybe on some days, but you know, quite often it does sort of start out fine. And I guess that's kind of where you'd have to make a decision. So this car obviously isn't a modern car. It does have its quirks and does need sort of care and attention every now and again. And I guess the main rival to this car, if you're going to consider reliability and that kind of thing, and if you're interested in sort of modern performance, you're probably going to compare this car to maybe a Mark 1 MX-5. So those cars are really great. I really love MX-5s, and I hate making comparisons between cars because they are quite subjective sometimes, and I don't want to hate on anybody's car or anything. And quite often I'll be talking about a car I'm interested in. I like MX-5s. I'm not going to bash them, but I do think the MGB is more charming than an MX-5, even though the MX-5 is faster, more reliable, has equally good or better third-party support in terms of people working on them and parts availability, etc, etc. But for me, this is my third MGB GT. I love this model car, and it gives me great sort of satisfaction driving it and maintaining it, so that's why I bought it. So yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything else really to say except hope you like this video. Hope you enjoyed getting a bit of an insight as to why I bought this car and why I'll probably continue to always have an MGB in my sort of fleet, garage, whatever you want to call it. And maybe I've encouraged you to do the same, or encouraged you to get an MX-5, I don't know. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Check out some of my other videos if you're interested in MGBs, and until the next time, I'll see you later. Bye bye.